Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bad Movie Night. My name's Chris, and tonight I'm talking about the movie Breach. It is a low-budget sci-fi horror movie directed by John Suits. So the movie takes place a couple hundred years in the future where a plague is decimating the Earth and a few people get to leave the Earth in these colony ships. Most of the passengers get put into cryosleep while there's still a small crew left awake for the 6-month journey. And during this 6-month trip, some sort of alien parasite gets on board, and then they cycle through every kind of sci-fi horror trope you've ever seen. But this movie's a little bit different because it does feature Bruce Willis and Thomas Jane, and I got no idea why. So like I said, this movie features every kind of sci-fi horror trope you've ever heard of. Like legit scenes from Alien, Pandorum, Event Horizon, Sunshine, the list goes on, The Thing, that kind of stuff. So nothing new here, absolutely nothing new here. And it appears to be very low budget. And I think a lot of people would directly say, this is just an Alien ripoff. But to me, this movie reminds me very much of another low budget sci-fi horror movie called Plaguers. Except for, again, it's got Bruce Willis in it. I know Bruce Willis isn't the big star that he used to be, but still, it does feel a little weird for him to be in this. But I gotta say, I haven't watched a lot of recent Bruce Willis movies, but he did seem kind of happy in this movie. And he did smile, and he seemed like he was having fun, which I guess I was happy to see. Thomas Jane is in there, though, more of as a distraction. He's like hamming it up in a way where it's clear he does not care, but it's distracting because he is on that show, The Expanse, and that's probably like the best sci-fi show out right now. And that movie, a single episode, looks 100 times better than anything in this movie. So it is kind of fun to see Bruce Willis in something like this because he's usually known for like recently these just like shoot 'em up schlocky action movies where he puts his face on the cover and he's in a scene or two. And this, he seems to be sprinkled throughout the entire movie, and he actually like moves his body, he leaves rooms and stuff. There's obviously a stand-in double for a lot of sequences, but it's still fun to see him. But there's low budgetness throughout this whole thing. It feels like sometimes like they show you the CGI spaceship and it feels like an incomplete model, like they didn't bother to texture it. They just kind of threw this flat texture over the whole thing. All the sets are like, they're inspired and fun if it was a really like homemade kind of movie. But because Bruce Willis and Thomas Jane are in it, you're expecting a little more. And the sets look like they're made from plywood, which is fine because everything's painted, but it's so imprecise. I don't know how else to say it. It just kind of looks sloppy. Pieces of wood are like angled and stuff. Nothing is like symmetrical. I just watched this other movie called Archive, which is probably like the same amount of set, meaning like you have a hallway, you have a room, and then you're kind of cycling through these things. But the precision and quality of the set that they built versus something like this is night and day, and it's just, it becomes glaringly obvious a lot of times, and a lot of times they'll like try and sci-fi up like a bathroom by adding weird like blocks on bathroom stalls and shit like that, and it's like distracting because like why would you do that? And it doesn't look good. It's a fun attempt. It's fun, yes, that's it. That's what I should say. This movie, I had fun with. It's bad. There's no arguing it. This is a bad movie. It does nothing new. The performances aren't good. The effects are lacking. There's potential there to have some fun kills and gross effects, but I just don't think they had the budget for. And so this is the kind of question you have to ask yourself if you're making this movie is, do you put your money towards getting a known star like Bruce Willis, or do you put it into the movie with its effects and its set and its props and stuff like that? And I think they chose the former, which makes sense. It's a business decision. If you want people to see your movie, Bruce Willis is a draw. People will watch anything he's in just because they're fans of him from his previous work. Is it at the cost of the quality of the movie? I would say probably, but that is a business decision that people make. I mean, that's the difficult thing. If you're making movies and you're getting financing, you need to turn a profit, and sometimes it's at the expense of the quality of the movie, unfortunately. But I'm a sucker for sci-fi horror movies, so I did have fun with this thing. I could call out all the scenes from different movies, which is a good time. But I do wish it did have more of a budget for the effects and props and stuff like that. There's some very generic themes in here about humanity overcoming their destructive nature, etc., etc. And they have these two main characters, Noah and Haley, who are supposed to be like the heart of the movie and the dramatic pool. It really doesn't work in any way. And they do have this kind of subplot with Bruce Willis's character Clay, where we learn he was like a decorated war veteran, and that's why he drinks so much to overcome his PTSD. It's hard to say whether it's just put in there so that Bruce Willis could be drinking the entire time, or whether it's actually supposed to be a thoughtful idea, because it doesn't really feel thoughtful. It just kind of feels like an afterthought. Although he does technically have like a character arc by the end of the movie. I don't think a general audience will really like this thing. I think they'll see it because of Bruce Willis and they'll be quickly disappointed by the quality of the sets and the props and the ideas being presented here. But for me, someone who likes low-budget schlocky horror movies and sci-fi horror movies that do rip off Alien, I had a good time, and it was just, the whole time I'm thinking, why is Bruce Willis and Thomas Jane in this movie? I did look up the director, John Suits, and he did make that commercial Die Hard Is Back about batteries with Bruce Willis, so maybe they formed some sort of relationship there, and he got him to be in this movie. So yeah, this is your run-of-the-mill, low-budget, schlocky sci-fi horror movie with kind of just ripping off aliens, basically. So if you're into that kind of thing, and you want to see Bruce Willis smile occasionally, maybe check it out. It was like $7 to rent on Amazon, though. I doubt it's worth that. Maybe wait for it to hit, like, Netflix or something like that. But yeah, Breach. It is out now. You can check it out. Let me know if you've seen it, and I will catch you here next time. Goodbye.